want to thank you so much for tuning in to ChasingCinema.com's official YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jacob Tiranno, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new film, A Dog's Purpose. Now, like I'm sure many of you, my house has always been filled with dogs. So when I saw A Dog's Purpose was coming out, I immediately knew that this movie was going to be a tearjerker. I'm a sap. If you haven't followed me before watching the I've ever reviewed, I've always openly admitted that I'm a sap. It's really easy to get me, Jacob Tiranno, very emotional. Just because I've always just been I wear my heart on my sleeve type of guy. So I'm like, oh, this movie looks just like a tear-jerking experience. And I have to tell you, this movie did make me cry. However, I still would not say this was a great movie. Walking out of the theater, I thought it was a very mediocre experience. And let me kind of delve into that really quick. This movie, if you don't know what it's about, is about a dog that is played by Josh Gad, the voice of Olaf, who originally, well, not even initially, but in his second incarnation that we see is named Bailey as a dog. And this dog goes through these different lives, but is always resurrected as another dog. And that's the real problem. If you break this movie down on paper, this movie that, while I thought was very over clear as far as cinematography, it was very hallmarky. That's the best way I could put it. It's very crisp. It's a lot of shots of the sun setting, and you have that kind of really cheesy, feel-good type of cinematography going that we see in a lot of the very modern Christian movies. We've seen in a lot of Hallmark styles. Everything is just so clean, and that's whatever. Nothing impressive as far as cinematography or score or soundtrack or anything like that. But then you have this story, which really only has the emotional reaction of watching this dog die multiple times. I'm not going to stand here and say that I didn't get emotional when the dog died, because I did, but it wasn't because I wasn't crying for Bailey, the name of the dog, or Buddy, or Tino, or Ellie, whatever carnation this dog was. I was crying just because, we've all been in, well, not all of us, but most of us have been in that vet office and had to put down a dog of our own, or the idea of our dog coming back so many years later and it being the same dog is the most wonderful thing that we could possibly imagine, right? Having our childhood dog come back as another version of itself. And to me, yes, those scenes where the dog meets his end in all these different stories is very, very sad, right? Because we've all been there. But I wasn't oh no, I don't want to say I was oh, I don't care if that dog dies. But to be honest, I wasn't emotionally invested in that dog. This movie is a very calculated, manipulative movie. It is meant to bring up all of those memories and, to make you think about all your wonderful memories with dogs and how important dogs are. So, in that sense, does this movie make me cry because I care about the characters? Absolutely not. To be honest, besides the overall story is with this boy named Ethan in the very beginning, which is about 45 minutes, and then the last 30 minutes with Ethan when he's an adult, played by Quaid. The middle are 3 different small stories, incarnations of Bailey. And those 3 stories are pretty empty. Those don't really give emotions. The only thing that is significant about them is just, okay, let's set up his life, now let's kill him off. That's in all reality, I'm not trying to be a pessimist, but that's really what happens. We have the dog, and in the beginning we have the interaction, we have the chemistry, we have that relationship building, and they try to replicate that in those 15-minute segments. For instance, when the dog is a police officer, when the dog's a little corgi, but those just don't have any strong connection. So you're just kind of sitting there waiting for this story to go back to where it really belongs, and that's with Dennis Quaid's character, Ethan. And because of that, I really just kind of felt this movie was mediocre. Yes, it did get an emotional reaction on me, but it didn't because of the story. It didn't because of I was invested in the characters. It did because I am a dog owner and I've had dogs my entire life. That's where it gets me. So, if your standard is that this movie will make you cry and it'll be like, "Aww," then yes, you'll probably enjoy this movie. But if you look a little bit harder and unveil what's really working the great big machine and what's making us emotional and things like that, I have to question that it would be this movie, which was directed, ironically enough, by a woman named Lassie. It's actually Lasse Hallström, or excuse me, a man, by Lasse Hallström. And I don't know, I just find that very ironic that the director of this movie is named Lassie. But anyway, I mean, you know what you're... if you've seen the trailer to this movie, you know exactly, literally, what's going to happen nearly step by step, because that trailer takes you on that journey. It's just it's a summarized version, and you know, it would have been nice to have some things kind of left out, but I mean, pretty much you know exactly where we're going. I mean, they even in the trailer spoil you the ending reveal, like the big great ending, when Dennis Quaid, you know, is looking at his dog, and to me that's kind of, you know, I've seen it. You can watch the trailer and you don't need to necessarily go see this movie, especially if you don't want to watch a dog die 5 or 6 times. And again, I understand the whole point is about resurrection, but to me, it's because that's the only emotional beat you get from this movie. You'll maybe get a laugh or two out because the dogs are cute and they do funny things, but other than that, the only time you're really zoned in this movie is when the dog's dying. And, you know, if you played a movie where people just continually die, you know, in a very sad way, it's going to inflict emotion, you know. It's like the same thing with cancer, you know. You could say a character has cancer, and we automatically have that emotion because it has that stigma about it. But you have to really make us care about the characters to really make us not want that character to pass away, or want that character... Well, I mean, we don't obviously want anyone to die, but you know what I mean. To be really invested in their story. And here, I don't feel like I was. I just feel like it was picking at my heartstrings. And manipulating me. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be giving A Dog's Purpose to 2 stars because, I mean, it didn't offend me. It wasn't horrible. I've seen much worse. But again, this movie really didn't do anything to make me remember it. So that's going to be it. Make sure to tune into our top 10 video, which is available right now. Click that white eye. And all the other fun stuff we have on ChasingCinema.com. We have some really great stuff coming up. I'm going to be having some directors hopefully back on doing some interviews. We have CinemaCon right around the corner, so don't miss out. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss what's going on here. And let me know what you feel about Dog's Purpose down here in the comment sections below. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jake Tiranno, and please continue chasing cinema.